Most RAG teams debug the wrong thing. They stare at retrieval scores, while the real failure is hiding in the final context the model actually sees.
Exactly. If you want to know why an answer went wrong, inspect the final context window assembled right before generation, not the candidate list, not the index, the exact text that made it into the prompt.
So this is the handoff point. Retrieval may have found decent material, but the generator is judged on the packed context, not on what almost made it.
Right. In the pipeline, final context appears after retrieval, filtering, re-ranking, packing, and any prompt templating. It is the last payload of evidence before the model starts answering.
And that is where power shifts. A team can brag about recall all day, but if packing trims the critical sentence, the user still gets a confident mistake.
A practical example. A support bot retrieves 5 documents about refund rules. The right policy is in document 2, but the packed context only keeps its header and drops the exception paragraph. The answer now sounds plausible and wrong.
So, when you inspect final context, what do you check first? Not eventually. First.
First, verify query alignment. Does the assembled context directly answer the user's question, or is it merely adjacent? If the question is about cancellation after shipment, and the context mostly talks about returns before shipment, that is already a red flag.
Meaning topical overlap is not enough. The model needs the exact decision surface, not nearby language.
Second, check completeness. Are the decisive details present together in one place the model can use? Dates, thresholds, exceptions, units, and definitions are where truth usually lives.
Give me a sharp example, because this is where teams lose the plot.
Say a user asks, "Can I expense meals over $50 on client travel?" The final context includes the travel policy and a meal section. But the cap is stated in one chunk, and the client travel exception is in another chunk that got omitted. The model answers no, because the qualifying exception never survived packing.
That is brutal, because retrieval might still look successful on paper. Relevant docs were found. The failure happened later.
Third, inspect ordering and prominence. Models pay more attention to some contexts than others. If weak or stale material appears earlier, or the strongest evidence is buried after distracting text, your answer can drift.
So not just what is present, but what is leading the conversation inside the prompt.
Exactly. A healthy final context usually has a few traits. It is tightly scoped to the question, contains the exact facts needed to answer, includes the relevant qualifiers, and avoids near-duplicate clutter that steals attention.
What does healthy feel like when you read it cold?
You should be able to answer the user's question yourself from that context alone, quickly and with low ambiguity. If you have to infer too much, the model will too, and that is where hallucinations get dressed up as reasoning.
Let's raise the stakes. In production, what gets damaged when teams skip this inspection?
Trust. Then operations. A bad final context leads to wrong answers that look grounded, which is more dangerous than obvious miss. Users stop trusting the system, and your team wastes time tuning retrieval when the packing logic is the real culprit.
Another scenario. Internal knowledge assistant. Employee asks, who approves security exceptions for contractors in Europe? What are you hunting for in final context?
I want the policy section that names approvers, the geographic scope, and the contractor-specific role in the same assembled context. If I only see a global security policy and a separate contractor onboarding note with no Europe clause, the model is being set up to guess.
And if there are contradictions?
Then, check freshness and authority. A healthy case favors the current source of truth text over older summaries or copied excerpts. If the final context mixes a 2022 guideline with a 2025 policy and does not make the hierarchy clear, you have planted a conflict inside the prompt.
This is the part that separates winners from losers, right? The teams that inspect the final context can see the exact reason for failure. The others keep tuning blind.
Yes, final context inspection turns a vague complaint like the bot was wrong into concrete diagnosis. Missing exception, truncated table, wrong document outranking the right one, stale policy included. That is actionable.
One more practical example. A financial research assistant answers, What was revenue growth excluding acquisitions? Retrieval finds the earnings release and an analyst note. What can go wrong in final context?
The packed context may keep the headline growth number from the press release, but drop the sentence that isolates organic growth. Then the model reports total growth as if it were excluding acquisitions. Same company, same quarter, wrong metric, because the decisive qualifier vanished.
So if I am a programmer building a RAG system, the practical habit is simple but uncomfortable. Read the evidence exactly as the model saw it.
Yes, inspect the final context as a first-class artifact. Check alignment, completeness, ordering, freshness, and conflicts. If the answer is not obvious from that text, your system is asking the model to improvise.
And once you start doing that, the mystery disappears. Bad answers stop feeling random.
Because the final context is the truth your model lives in. Control that, and you stop debugging shadows.